Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Looks like there's a couple missing, but mostly we're here. So we're going to go ahead and get started in the interest of time because there's some great info coming your way. Hello, my name is Jenny Baldwin. Most of you know who I am. I am the Director of Alumni Engagement at Overlake. So those of you that are class of 2026, you are very quickly going to be part of my world. Those of you that are class of 2027, you are a year and a half away from becoming part of the alumni world. One of my favorite parts of my job is getting to learn and champion about what the amazing things that our alumni are doing. And Griffin is one of those amazing alumni. He was my ninth grade student, and several of the other folks that are on here, he was Amanda Jones's homie. So shout out to Jones homeroom. Griffin was one of yours. There was lots of like basketball being played in that homeroom, if I remember correctly. And it was a very rambunctious and active homeroom. And Griffin is who I would describe, he's from the class of 2018, and he is who I would describe as like human form. If LinkedIn was a human, that is Griffin. He is a natural networker, a natural people connector. He's like one of those people that knows how to work a room and has figured out how to use technology as a tool to do that. So I'm going to let, he's a senior account manager at LinkedIn. I should say that as well. So I'm going to let Griffin introduce himself and chat with you. He's going to go over content and also how to utilize LinkedIn as a tool. Advisors, you can type questions into the chat. There will also be times where Griffin will pause and ask for questions, so you could unmute and ask questions in real time, and then we'll save designated Q&A for the end. And anyone who wants to stay on during upper school lunch for a few minutes will stay on that. Griffin's willing to stay on and answer like office hours style questions as well that are more individual, but there's no bad questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Griffin.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jenny. It's awesome to see some familiar faces. I also want to shout out like who I am as a person. I would not be here at all if it weren't for the likes of Overlake and Jenny and Amanda. Jenny literally taught me how to write. I walked into ninth grade not even knowing what an annotation was. So I feel very fortunate that I get to be here, very grateful. Be sharing some stuff with y'all today. I want this to be fun and interactive and not something you go, wow, that was a waste of my 25, 30 minutes. I want you to be excited. I want you to go spend a little time on LinkedIn over the next week. That's my goal of these calls. And I'm overall pumped to chat with y'all. So I want to be upfront that like Overlake means everything. It's the best. In my role right now, what I do is partner with organizations to use the back end of LinkedIn super effectively. So most people don't realize that there's a recruiting tool built into LinkedIn, and that's how LinkedIn makes most of its money. I partner with the companies like Quince, like Liquid Death, like the Atlanta Falcons, like Atlanta United, to help them use LinkedIn to go find great talent and find great early in career students and overall great people at their organization. So like my day-to-day is helping companies utilize LinkedIn to hire people. My side gig, what I like to do for fun, and it's obviously in lieu of this conversation, is help people around me find jobs and use the front end of LinkedIn. So I'm kind of in this holistic, I'll call it like an ethos nearly. I really like helping companies and people find jobs, and I want to help you all tee yourself up for success when you come into college and when you come into the working world to be killing it. So that's like the lens of what I want to chat with today. We're kind of going to split it up into a couple pieces. It's going to be heavily focused first on, hey, like, what does a good profile look like? Why should I have a good LinkedIn profile as a high schooler? How should I be thinking about building this out if I don't have 5 different job experiences? Kind of shift into how I think you could be using LinkedIn based on how I got my job at LinkedIn. And then we'll talk through the back end of like how companies use LinkedIn and what it looks like and how we should set up our profiles, knowing this kind of info of how organizations snag and find great talent via the platform. Um, that's what I want to talk about today. Jenny, is there anything else that you want me to make sure I hit on, dive deeper into?
I think for the seniors, they are going to be using LinkedIn to search for folks who could support them on their senior projects. And so I know you'll go over this, but talking about how to search, it's like a lot of people don't know how to
Yeah.
use LinkedIn effectively to search for people, organizations, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
the search features.
Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe I'll even like start with that and talk profiles next. I appreciate that. I think a helpful way to think about how you all should be using LinkedIn is to go back to what happened for me during COVID. I was supposed to be on a study abroad in Portugal, Lisbon, super pumped, was about to be the coolest thing since sliced bread for my college experience. And they said, yeah, you're going to take those same classes that you would in Lisbon, Portugal in your childhood bedroom. And I'm like, cool, that is definitely the same thing. And I was at this crossroads in my mind. Um, I first of all, I think I was playing video games way more than I should, and I was like, we need to do something there. And I think I saw this TikTok that literally said, if you're bored, you should go try just reaching out to people that you think are cool on LinkedIn. And this became this practice for me that got me A, really excited about what I wanted to do in my future, and B, just like help me learn about the world I wanted to go into. I had this recognition that I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the working world, and there's a competitive advantage to finding an organization that really excites you. Uh, so I guess like, what can we do right now to tee yourself up for that 5 years from now, and just to start to build this muscle of trying to talk to cool people and being hyper confident in yourself and your experiences. So I literally would just go search on LinkedIn, and I think this is something that you should definitely be doing for your senior project. All I was doing was filtering by people who I thought had somewhat of similar shared experiences to me. Whether that was someone who went to Overlake, whether that was a University of Arizona alumni, I realized that there's a lot of business professionals who don't have much time in their day. And if I find someone who was a University of Arizona alumni, loved hockey like I do, I could have a really good conversation and learn a lot. So as you're thinking about your senior project and trying to learn from great people, I would jump onto LinkedIn. I would sort by people. By the way, the first way I did this, if I was on my feed, was I clicked here, pressed enter. And now this almost gives you a list of literally anyone you could possibly want. There's 1.3 billion people on LinkedIn. Over 94% of the US workforce is on LinkedIn. 200,000 truck drivers have come onto LinkedIn in the past 2 years. This is becoming a place, and I think in I'm obviously very biased, but an insane platform that's given for free. And that if you capitalize on it properly, like I think I have, you can get outsized returns. So what I'd be suggesting you do for your senior project, and realistically, it should just be a tenet of how you approach your week, I think, is go just reach out to people that are cool. So whether that's filtering by University of Arizona alumni, at companies I think are cool, in sales roles, in Bellevue, we can do that here. So my practice when COVID had hit was I would just type in, maybe it's a Microsoft or a Google, and I would scroll through profiles, send them notes, and try to chat with them. With this whole feeling of like, if I create genuine connection, I know something more about the sales world than I did 30 minutes ago. If I create genuine connection, I can take that experience and go talk about it in an interview of, I want to work at Google because of Joshua, because of what Monica told me about how cool her job is and what she's learning on a daily basis. So the biggest thing the thread I'd have of while I'd be reaching out to people is just go find genuine connection and someone you think is cool and go learn from them. That should be all you're thinking about, is how can I learn from the Tanners, the Monicas, the people that I want to send outreach to. All I was doing was literally taking time I was spending playing video games on Instagram, not even more than 10 minutes a day. That's all I'm asking, is you replace 10 minutes of your Instagram scrolling a day with messing around in LinkedIn. And I would just message people, and it almost became this like the same feeling I got from Instagram. It became something I got from LinkedIn. And it's kind of funny to say like out loud, but that's just what happened. So all I would do was press these three dots. I would send a connection request, and I'd say, hey, like, your experience seems wicked cool. I noticed this on your profile. I'm really curious about this experience. Can we chat for 20 minutes? And I would set all these calls up on Fridays, because in my mind, business professionals are going to be more likely to be nicer and open time on their calendars on Fridays. And I would just go talk. And the other coolest thing I noticed about this, and I think this is also a reason why you're doing, Overlake has you do these senior projects, is I became more and more confident just talking to people. I would go into interviews and they'd be like, well, why do you know so much about the company and us? That's so cool. But also, I was talking to them like I was a normal person. And I prepared, but the like scariness of interviews and the scariness of what we'll call like career networking or career conversations meant that I became very confident. Like how Jenny described me earlier isn't because I'm insanely awesome. My mom would like to think that, but it's because I talked to a lot of people and I just tried to learn and get excited about their world and their life. So again, I'm doubling down on the fact that like I think a small investment of time in LinkedIn has outsized returns on the job you get, the confidence you have, and overall how you go about yourself as a professional in the future.
Griffin, can I
a lot,
ask
Jenny.
you?
Yeah.
No, I was going to ask for Swapna, the person you're on there
Yeah.
right now, or if you want to use someone else as an example. Can you show us, like, what would you do if you were really like looking at her profile? What would you look for, and how would you craft that message to like cold call, cold DM, reach out to her so that the students get an idea?
Completely. First of all, this is something that a lot of people ask me, how do I scale this? How do I do more? I think sending really good notes that are thoughtful is going to be important. Do not just copy and paste the same message and send 500 of them and say, cool, I did it. I did what Griffin asked me to. That it's highly likely that people might not respond to you, but if you do have a really good message, we see response rates increase by roughly like 25%. So I'm about to talk through how I'd be thinking about this message, but that's important to note because you are going to have people who don't respond to you. That's just a fact of life and of how LinkedIn and outreach works. But if you do put slightly more effort, your response rates go up and you're more likely to actually talk to cool Overlake alumni or cool University of Arizona alumni. On this person's profile, there's a couple things that stick out to me. Right now, I'm a senior account manager. There's things that I do in my day-to-day that Pamela definitely does as well. I'd probably just be setting up time to talk through that and her U of A experience. Plus, she's an IELTS psychology student right now at Harvard. That's interesting to me because my mom actually has a PhD in IELTS psychology. So I'm probably going to talk about that. And all I'd be doing is pressing connect, add a note, and then I'm trying to keep my message within 300 characters. So I'm trying to make this genuine, feel relevant in a pretty small box of text. I think I feel like everyone should be asking themselves, how do I use AI? I think this is actually a really like effective use of AI that feels right in my mind. If I create a draft and I say, hey, can you make this 300 characters for my LinkedIn message? That is an amazing way for you to leverage a wicked cool tool and approach this in the proper way. You should not be just, I think, going on a ChatGPT, copying this link and just saying, make me a message. It will be so obvious from Pamela, from Griffin receiving a note that it's AI driven, that you just built it off of AI. Use AI as your second test, as your, hey, this looks good. So again, there's not like a one size answer of what I'd be looking for, but any overlap or something that I think is cool is what my message would be tailored around. Obviously it helps when you're reaching out to folks who have similar backgrounds or similar interests as you. So maybe lean on those. Jenny, anything I'm missing, or you want me to call out?
No, I think that's great. I would say if utilize these tips to reach out to folks based on genuine connections of something that they're doing that you're interested in. You can reach out to professors at colleges in, areas you're interested in, folks who work at companies where you're interested in having internships. If you reach out to anyone who is an alum, you can also connect with me. And I'll tell you, a lot of times alumni will reach out to me and say, hey, this person DM'd me on LinkedIn, and it's nice if you let me know so I can also follow up with a warm handoff. And then sometimes that will solicit a better response rate. So if it's an alum, let me know as well. And I'm happy to help broker those conversations.
Couldn't agree more. Use that to your advantage. And I would also we can filter based on the Overlake School. We can filter literally by typing in quotes hockey. I played hockey for 18 years. It was a big pivotal part of my life. I could talk for hours about hockey. Find what that hockey is for you, whether it's Terraform and Rust coding, if that's the thing that really lights you up. If it's ballet, figure out what that is and find the people who are like that and have really cool conversations. So that's my push of you can talk to anyone you want. It feels illegal, leverage it. Pivoting to what I think makes this even easier is if you have a really good profile. If I'm reaching out about hockey, I better darn have hockey on my LinkedIn profile. Or if I'm reaching out about how to be a better account manager and how maybe there's sales methodologies that I should be tweaking and learning from Pamela on, find what that is, have it on your LinkedIn profile so that when someone receives a message from you that's quote unquote cold, they say, wow, Griffin seems interesting. I want to talk to him. I also find that when people are building out their profile, they're either trying to do one of two things. They're trying to make it insanely hyper professional, which is good. This is a professional network. They overdo that, or they just don't put anything on their LinkedIn. And they're like, Griffin, why is no one responding to me? And it looks like you made the account 30 seconds ago. So it is beneficial if you are trying these strategies for your senior project to have a really good profile that highlights how cool all of you are. There's a reason you're at Overlake. You're a great student. You're a great individual. Let's have it show up on your LinkedIn. For example, I love sushi. I'll eat any day of the week. It doesn't matter the time. When I was in Japan, breakfast, lunch, dinner, all of it. I can talk about that for years as well. Throw interesting stuff about your LinkedIn profile. Throw interesting stuff about you on your LinkedIn profile. With that being said, you should let LinkedIn reflect your life. Don't try to make your life around LinkedIn. That is also something I want to pull out, is you shouldn't be saying in your head, I'm doing this to put it on my LinkedIn profile. You should be doing it because you think it's cool and you're excited by it. And that's another overall thing that if you were to leave this call knowing one thing, is this gets everyone to maybe excited about professional development LinkedIn. The one thing you could do as a junior and senior right now is just go try to be different and go try to have cool experiences. We should not be thinking insanely hard about what our first job is going to be as a high schooler, our first professional job. We should be thinking about, how can I have fun? How can I be interesting? How can I be cool? And how can I be different? If you're asking yourself that weekly, the LinkedIn profile will be built out and it will come. I think that's the biggest thing I'd want you to leave recall knowing.
If
Jenny?
you can't see on his screen, in his about section, it says number one sushi fan west of the Mississippi. He just highlighted it there. And I will tell you, I've looked at a lot of LinkedIn profiles and not many folks have something like that on there. And so if I was going to cold reach out to Griffin, that would be one of the things I'd be like, wow, I see you're working at LinkedIn and that you love sushi. And that would be something that I would connect with him on. So there are, like, as long as it's authentic to you, putting things that are interesting and that make you stand out and seem human is really invaluable in this space.
Definitely. And in a similar vein, like I find a lot of people try to have, they almost create LinkedIn as a resume. And I don't think that's what it was intended for or like what looks good, right? Like you'll find people who have 4 bullet points on each experience. A, no one's probably going to read that. And B, like, I think you are a whole person. Put your whole person on the profile. Show that, hey, like, you're someone people want to talk to. I could write 8 bullet points, but working with the coolest customers on the planet says the same thing and shows like I'm human. I would also recognize that like how I've built out my profile, how I call out my specific experiences is tailored to the fact that a lot of clients I work with look at my LinkedIn page. A lot of my clients are those coolest customers, but as you're thinking about building this out, ask yourself who your target audience is, who your target market is. Is it Overlake alumni because you're going to be networking with them? Switch your profile to make it look like that. If you're going into being a college senior, maybe your profile is more heavily tailored to finding a great next job, but it still shouldn't be a resume. It should be a great profile. I also find that, and again, you will get more experiences as you go throughout your career in life. But I find a lot of people don't even know about some core functionalities of a profile that I think make it feel real and human. Joanne, good shout. Joanna, I'll call it out in a sec. If I am thinking about my profile overall, one of the things that's really interesting is that when I was applying to LinkedIn as an intern, I actually didn't even properly submit my resume. In their backend system, I screwed up and didn't put in the like arguably most important thing about an application. The only reason I got an interview was because I had a LinkedIn recommendation on my profile. I had a couple of my peers when I was in college call out that we had worked together. My recruiter, after she hired me, said, Griffin, this is actually like the one reason we're talking today is because of this. So what that makes me think is if you have peers, if you're talking to people you find amazing and they want to go out of their way to help you, ask them for a recommendation. It could be the difference, as you see, between you having an awesome job and not. But overall, it also makes you feel like a real human. It shows that like you've made a difference in this world and people are going to want to respond to your cold email messages, or if they see your profile, just engage with you because of things like this.
So as organizations are looking for interns who have applied, and as alumni and other people out there are looking to potentially take on someone for a senior project or a summer internship, they're looking at LinkedIn, and those recommendations are invaluable because it tells what it's like to work with that person. And so if if you are doing volunteer work at an organization, you can ask for a recommendation from that person if they're on LinkedIn. You request it within LinkedIn. You send it to them and they complete the recommendation and submit it. So you can see Griffin's demoing that right now. You can ask when you're in college, when you join a club or you're working on a project, you can ask folks to recommend you. But those are pieces that really speak to like if there's a family you've done a ton of babysitting for and one of the parents is on LinkedIn, have them write a personal recommendation for you. But they're short and sweet, but they tell you about the human behind it. And more organizations are really looking for that as they're sifting through thousands of applicants for internships.
Definitely. Yeah, I can talk for hours about that, but fully agree. Um, to answer the question in the chat, I think from a skills perspective,
Oh, and for folks who can't see
yeah,
the chat, Joanna asked, how do you know what goes into the experience or skills categories? How do you distinguish where to list something, community service or clubs, for example?
yeah. So definitely service clubs, all of it. I think my sister still has some of her clubs she was in from Overlake on her LinkedIn profile as well. She's also an Overlake alum. I think the first thing, the most important, just like having it on your LinkedIn profile. Like that's the first step. It doesn't matter where it is, just have it on your LinkedIn profile. With that being said, this skills category will pull whether it's from your experiences like I have, where I've literally tied the skills to a part of my job, or if it's, hey, like I just have this skill because I engaged in a LinkedIn learning course or I do this every day. The skill section is probably going to be your best friend. I also think it's goofy,
So
but
he just mentioned something important: LinkedIn learning courses that I believe are free, and they just take time, and then when you complete them, it appears on your LinkedIn. It's a great like low stakes way. Most of them are not heavy lifts, and they are ways that you can distinguish your LinkedIn and show. Well, Griffin, you speak to it. You're better at it.
no, yeah, you're killing it. We have an insane amount of free unlocked courses that automatically can be put on your LinkedIn profile that verify that, hey, like Griffin does have Salesforce experience, does have Tableau experience. So yeah, you should definitely be using those. I can send after. There's a good list that we have of unlocked courses. Maybe we can spread that to everyone today. The other thing I'd be thinking about is if you look at a job and you're like, holy cow, for me, obviously, maybe it's a job I want to work in 6 months from now, but for you all, maybe it's, hey, that's a job that I think would be really wicked cool to be at in 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. Figuring out in your head what those skills are that you don't have yet and using LinkedIn Learning, using the Coursera's of the world to go close those skill gaps, we'll say, is also a fantastic idea about not only how you create a robust LinkedIn profile, but also how you prepare yourself when you do enter the workforce, that you already have the skills they want. So I would be indexing and asking yourself, like, hey, if that's what I want to do, I don't have to commit to it now. I should be slowly laying the foundation for me to have those skills come college time, come post college. So yes, any free course that you can engage with and put it on your LinkedIn profile is going to be a good idea.
I was going to jump in and say a great use of AI would be taking a couple of internship application, putting the language in and asking it to distill out some keywords of skills that you should have for all of those roles. And then those are skills that you would want to look for in free courses and add them to your LinkedIn. So just from a practical standpoint.
Definitely.
And then there's a question in the chat says, what if we want to connect with someone who has messages set to private without paying for it?
For sure. So if there's all first and second connections, you can message and connect without having to do anything and add a little note. That's going to be the best thing to do is the connect button and add a note when you are connecting. Some people like me are free to InMail. You can send a message. There are other folks who are outside of your network who you would have to pay money to send outreach towards. The way we can work around that is, I think once you are creating a LinkedIn profile, go connect with your family if they have a LinkedIn profile. Go connect with your family friends. Go connect with other overlakers. Go connect with all those people that you already have connections with so that when you go and start to do some of these practices, you already have a robust network and you wouldn't have to pay for any outreach. So the goal is like,
as I say, you can also connect with coworkers of those people and ask them to connect you as well. Once you can like meaningful connect with that person and then ask them to connect you horizontally.
Definitely. Agree there. Yeah, I think the first step is like build a LinkedIn profile. Second step, have it reflect your life and career as much as possible. Have a good headshot, have a good profile picture in there. Connect with everyone around you that you can, and then start some of these practices to go find the external cool people.
Griffin, what would you
also,
say
yeah.
for like a student? What would be, so like as a rule, me and most people I know won't connect with someone who doesn't have a picture and who isn't like connected with at least a few other people on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So what would you say would be a good way to start? Like what would be the very bare minimum that a high school student should maybe have in their LinkedIn to get started?
Yeah, definitely have the Overlake School on your education. It makes a difference. People, I mean, obviously it's where you are right now, but if you're reaching out to Overlake alumni and they see Overlake, they're going to respond to you. I was talking to the VP of sales at Google Cloud, who I should not have been talking to. Why'd he respond to me? Overlake alumni. Didn't even know when I sent outreach, which is hilarious. So first piece, put Overlake on there. If you do have even if it is babysitting, we'll call it out. Or for me, I reffed ice hockey and was also a beach volleyball coach. Put it on your LinkedIn profile. Someone might say they're like, oh, those things aren't relevant to the work you are going into after you end college. But like that's just not the case. Like there are skills, the quick decision making from my experiences when I played hockey and was a linesman that I do loop into my work now. So like there are tenets in your high school jobs that you will bring to the working world or the full on post college professional world. I would also say like I find that a lot of people have about sections that feel forced. Make it professional, but also make it yourself. You should call out that you're a current senior, you're a club leader, team captain, and you're using this LinkedIn profile to go learn more about Bitcoin or go learn more about how cloud computing works. You name thing. Show that that's your interest on your LinkedIn profile too. So that when someone sees your page, they say, wow, I want to talk to them and I know what they want to talk to me about. I'm also just going to use one of my Overlake friends as an example. She has a very good profile, but I think she can do so much more with very minimal effort to make this more robust. If I work at Netflix and I see her LinkedIn profile, I don't know what she does. Software engineering could mean so many different things. We don't know what level. This doesn't mean anything to me, even if I literally work at her company. So figure out this balance of telling your story. I can even do a better job of having my experiences balance this feeling of like look good on a profile and talk through what I actually do on a day-to-day basis. So on your experiences, have 2 sentences about what that experience does, tailor it to the people you want to talk to. In her education, she went to Overlake, she was at UW, she did wicked cool things there. I don't know what those are. She's obviously not looking for jobs right now or not sending outreach to people, but she could improve in almost every single part of her LinkedIn profile. Something to keep in mind. Jenny, anything you want me to hit on or double tap into?
No, I think that's great. I think what Griffin's sort of speaking to, so let's say you're putting that you're the club leader for Girls Who Code. You would want to explain what that is to someone in a way that's like both catchy and tells your story, but also makes it clear what Girls Who Code is.
Yeah.
If you're a referee for a sport, you would want to like say why you are passionate about refereeing or like what about that has, taught you something that is a translatable skill, which is really all that finding jobs in the world is how are all your skills translatable into whatever they're looking for. We have about like 9 minutes or so left. Griffin, before folks will go to lunch, Griffin, do you want to open it up for questions? Is there anything else that you want to make sure you say before we open up to general questions?
Definitely. Yeah, I think the biggest call outs are like, have fun, be cool, go do different things than average high schooler would. Overlake provides you this awesome opportunity to do that. Take advantage of it. Again, it's the reason why I'm here right now talking to you all, is because not only because of Overlake, but because of Overlake. So keep that in mind. Don't just try to do stuff to put it on your LinkedIn profile. Try to just spend 10 minutes you would on Instagram messing around on LinkedIn, and this habit will eventually build up. And definitely take advantage of the free courses that I'm going to send after, and anything of that realm that you could throw on your LinkedIn profile and verify that you have the skills you talk about. That's what I want you all to hopefully learn from this and run with. But yeah,
and I'll just add a word of caution for folks who have never used LinkedIn before. I would recommend not posting in that space until you've really been and experienced in the space for a while. It's definitely a professional space. People post much more rarely than they do in other platforms. And so I would really you can like things. If you are experienced enough or know the person, you can comment, but I would just be an observer for a little while as you start in this platform.
Definitely agree. I also think there's an interesting piece about what you can learn on LinkedIn from just being an observer. If my page wants to load for me, like any platform, the more you engage with a certain type of content, the more it's going to get pushed towards you. So if you do want to learn about cloud computing, go engage with cloud computing content. Go follow great people in cloud computing so that you can slowly absorb some of their knowledge. So yeah, definitely start from a viewership perspective and just try to engage with people you think are cool, just like we're reaching out to people we think are cool.
Okay, questions. I know you have them. What are your questions?
I know everyone's so excited to raise their hand and talk, right?
Griffin will remember your name too if you ask a question. And when you connect with him, he'll be much more willing to help you.
It's already unmuted, Seb. Seb, we're unmuted. You can go.
Hi, Seb.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sebastian. My question was, how important do you think it is to add the classes you took to your? I've seen it vary from student to student, and I'm just wondering how professional you think that is.
Yeah, I want to make sure I heard you right. Is it adding classes or adding I'm class of 2018? What was the question there?
No, the classes you took.
Oh, literal classes you took. Yeah, I think there's an interesting balance, right? As much as I wish it were the case, I don't think putting English on your LinkedIn profile is going to show that you're a great professional. But if there's a really unique class that's you're excited by, that's different, that actually applies to what you want to maybe do in the future, heck yeah. For a while, I was very excited about the thought of going to poli-science as my major. So my We the People experience and the classes I took APU as history were all over my LinkedIn profile. So yeah, definitely just make sure that it's for a good reason, I guess.
Okay, thanks so much. Thanks so much.
And then Jay asked a question. He said, when do you recommend students take things off their LinkedIn that are old or maybe no longer relevant? Because your sister still has Overlake clubs, that kind of thing.
Definitely. I think there almost becomes this as you add more experiences and as you go into your professional life, my experience at Emerald City as a smoothie barista is not on my LinkedIn profile anymore, right? As different work experiences take over and you start to shape who you are as both an individual and a professional, those will be on your LinkedIn profile, and you can push off the ones that maybe aren't as relevant or are more high school focused. So I don't think there's a plain answer, a line of when you shouldn't have Emerald City smoothie on your profile, but at some point ask yourself, is this the thing I want people to think about me by? Do I want it to be Emerald City Smoothie? Do I want it to be my LinkedIn experience? And curate from there.
And also knowing
Right.
that people only read so far down. So if they're your
Definitely.
last like 3 roles, maybe with the exception of like if I go and do 7 other jobs after this, I'm always going to keep teacher on there, my most recent teaching job, because being an educator is a huge part of my identity and something that's part of my story, right? So you think about like, is there something that's part of your story that you would want to keep on there?
Yeah, definitely. And then
Amanda asked, once you connected to someone through LinkedIn, how do you approach the phone call and meeting? I love this question. Griffin's good at answering this question.
Yeah, I feel like this is like the most important part of it is like, okay, cool. I reached out to people. They responded to me. What do I do next? My goal was to set up time, 20 minutes, 25 minutes on Friday, just to chat with someone. So I'm pushing for like a Teams call, a Zoom call, at worst, a phone call. At best, an in-person meeting where I can actually like engage with someone face to face. Like that is the dream situation. When I'm actually in these calls, in these meetings, again, they're going to vary based on the person's experiences. For example, when I talk to University of Arizona alumni, the first 10 minutes is just like recollecting on those experiences. Was kind of the same for me when I talked to Overlake alumni. Was talking about how awesome the Gerald and Amanda Jones of the world are. It's like very casual at first, moving into something that I think is interesting about their profile, their company, what they're doing on a daily basis. I'm having likely like 5 to 7 questions or like general things I want to hit on prepped ahead of time. I think that's the other important thing is like, if you're going to do this, be genuine, but also put some thought into it. And also don't interrogate people. Don't just ask 15 questions back to back to back. Dive deeper, do research. The other cool part about, I think, about having ChatGPT, Perplexity, you name your favorite LLM, is that in real time, you can like ask deeper questions. If it's cloud computing and there's something that like Jenny brings up about multi-cloud, and maybe I didn't know what multi-cloud was, I can type it into ChatGPT real quick and still ask thoughtful questions and learn with this person as they're walking me through their career. So questions could be job-oriented, career-oriented, Overlake-oriented. Just be genuine, prep a little, and talk to them like they're normal human beings.
And I think, Griffin, you were talking about like making those meetings short. And I'll just throw in there, like as someone who gets asked for a lot of meetings now, like when you're the asker, you make yourself as available as possible to their schedule and not the other way around.
Definitely. That's huge. I always found that people were a lot more excited to talk to me when I said it's only 20 minutes. Like this isn't an hour. It's even not 30 minutes. We're just going to chat for a really short period of time, and you're going to get out and go to your next meeting early, or get lunch, or bio break. So I always found that if you were genuine, curious, the conversations only went well, and people were really pumped to talk to you. Because again, most people aren't doing this. That's what I think is the other competitive advantage, is like, you can go learn wicked cool things, but if like when you're actually talking to people, they get excited. Everyone loves to talk about themselves. And if you're asking really good questions, again, only good things happen.
I'm going to jump in because it's the end of the session and it's time to go to lunch. So I'm going to have anyone who has questions stay on. Advisors, you can also give the link to folks who want to join on their own device now and ask questions. Griffin and I will stay on until 1:15, or questions go in the next half hour or so. So thank you everybody for joining. I'll make sure I get answers to the questions that were in the chat. And if you want to connect to Griffin, you can practice those networking skills and send him a message once you've built out your LinkedIn. And you can connect with me too.
And if you're going to connect with me, I'm hoping for a good message. I'll only connect if it's a good message. So put 15 seconds of thought into it. I appreciate everyone for being here. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good lunch. Go right on the gratitude wall for ASP.
Do you want to keep going through the other 2 questions, Jenny, in a sec here?
Yes. Yeah, Tina, did you want to? I see your hand raised. Are you still there and do you want to ask the question live?
I know she's dropped something in the chat too.
Okay, Tina's question was, where is the line between sharing your skills and not overwhelming people with too much detail?
This is the $1 million question. Again, I hate that I'm saying this. It's different for everyone. I always ask the question of like, what would I want two people to look at my LinkedIn profile and feel good about? If my grandma looks at my LinkedIn profile and feels good about it, and the person I want to be my future hiring manager looks good, that's a happy medium. And also like try to make it feel like a real person. It doesn't need to be insanely overly professional. It needs to be professional, but be human too.
That's
And
a
then I
great
know
answer.
Bren had a question as well.
Yeah,
right?
Bren was asking, can you or should you list the number of hours you participate in activities like community service? Like if there's not a ton, like if it's like something they did in a cursory thing versus if it's like a repeated weekly, you know, over 4 years or something.
Yeah, if it's over 4 years, I think, and it's a 1,000-hour number, like that is really cool, unique. So do that. If it's 47, I don't know if that's going to be a big game changer.
Elliot, hello.
How we doing, Elliot?
Hi, Griffin.
How we doing?
I'm good. How
You
are you?
two, Griffin, if you had been a student here when Elliot was here, you two would have gotten along well. Elliot
I
is
love it.
also like a LinkedIn and human form kind of person.
Let's go, Elliot. Good to meet you, dude.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you too. Thank you for the presentation today.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, I actually had a question. So, if I have like started like this this business in middle school and I've continued it into high school, I was wondering how I would add that to my LinkedIn. Would I add it as like a position role or like a career
Yeah, I'd probably just do it as an experience.
experience? Okay.
Yeah, first of all, insanely awesome. That's exciting. You should definitely call it out. One of my Overlake buddies, Evan, did something similar, and he had it on his LinkedIn profile. So yes, for sure.
Okay.
What's
Thank
your
you so much.
business, Elliot?
It's like a screen repair business. So I started it in middle school
Cool.
and I continued it through high school now.
That's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
I
Yeah, I was
mean,
just trying to figure
I was
it
to
out.
say, listening to Griffin's presentation, right, and thinking of how can you make that relevant, tell the story, that kind of thing. If you came up with a cool tagline, like, you know, like there's like the what do they call them, the Apple geniuses, the Genius Bar or whatever, like bringing Genius Bar to you at Overlake, or like Owl Genius Bar. I don't know, like I just feel like there's a way that you can like tell that story and make it catchy and it'll catch someone's attention. That's awesome.
Yeah, I call the business Screensaver. So,
There you go.
Nice.
all right. Thank you so much, Griffin. It was nice to meet you.
You as well. Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Elliot.